Okay, we're back.
Okay, back from executive session, no action taken. So next on the agenda, I asked for this to be put on here. Basically, I get questioned or have for a few years, but why we haven't done some sort of feasibility study for and I think it's misworded. It says sports complex. It probably ought to be sports facility. I know 2 years ago, we had somebody bring us a proposal from a company. I guess my point is whether we want to, it's a two-part deal in my opinion. And reading through the I got it here. Reading through the sports facility companies, and this was dated December 26, 2021. But reading through it, there was two phases, but the main phase was they would tell you whether it's a go or a no-go. And there's a lot of factors and scopes that they take into account. And a lot of it is too that they have investors. Now this is just this company, but I guess my thought is that would be number one. Can we support? We don't know without looking into it further, but can we support a sports facility? Or can a company look at that and say, no, you can't, or yeah, you can, or no, you can't? And if the answer is no, can we have a company that says, we've assessed what you have in your community, and based on that, our recommendation, and that might be a phase two, but you can enhance what you have, and here's what we would suggest. So you're not doing a full-blown sports complex or facility. But under county policy, we would have to put out RFPs, and I would think that would be in the purview of our CDB director to investigate what other companies are out there and what their scope of service is. So that's just, we're sitting on $816,000, and then this case, it was like, back then it was $18,500 for phase one. So I'm sure the price would be a little higher now, probably $20,000. But the question I get asked is that, what are you going to do with that $800,000? You're just sitting on it, nothing's happening. Why not take a little bit of that money and do a study or get an unbiased professional study that tells you whether this community would support a sports complex or a facility? And if it doesn't, then what can we do to better what we already have?
We already did a study.
Well, that was done back in, when was that? 1999 was the last study that was done.
I thought we did one when we implemented the 1%.
No,
Are you sure?
not positive, but I don't think so.
I thought we did. Why would we do that? Why would we do it?
What was the year of that?
2014. I don't know if maybe it had been done in 13 or whatever. I am all for doing a feasibility study. The reason why nothing's been done with that 1% is because it's for a sports complex. A sports complex is going to be upwards of 20 to 30 million for a small one. I feel that, raising the transient guest tax is something that we should do. There's a lot of support in the community for it. Being able to improve the sports facilities that we have in the community, I think is gonna promote tourism and help fill up our hotels and Airbnbs, and that's exactly what this is for. It would.
By doing what was the first part of that, Trish?
By increasing the transient guest tax and improving the actual sports facilities that we have now. I don't think we should spend any money until we decide whether we're gonna increase the transient guest tax or not. And I do appreciate to have, when Kathy, when you actually said, to have people at the table. I don't think we should have people at the table until we decide whether we're gonna increase the tax or not, because I think it'd be kind of a waste of money, but I definitely feel that everybody should be at the table when we decide on what kind of things we're gonna use those monies for. There are so many things that we could probably name a half a dozen just today, just off the top of our heads. If we're gonna go forward and say, yes, let's look at the increase in or let's look at an assessment for the sports complex as well as the improving on what we already have, I would not go forward with either one of those until we decide to increase it's a minimal. If I thought it was gonna hurt our businesses, I would be like, okay, I understand, let's not. But Jason himself said it would add $1 to a night. $1.
Well, I think we need to get the ball rolling on some sort of a study. I think we need to direct Raquel to see what companies are out there with the focus to be twofold. Will this community support? Because we know we've got competition surrounding us. And that's what it says in here. They look at what's your competition. So and then at the same time say, if it's not feasible, well, actually you wouldn't have to say that. What is the best bang for our buck? Because we're not experts at it. And,
I fully agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we aren't in a position to.
And
Try to
I'd
figure it
like
out.
somebody that's unbiased. So at this point, I think we're talking about two different issues. We're talking about sports complex or whatever we want to call it, versus increasing the TGT, when TGT is meant more to promote and support events that bring out-of-town people here. It's one thing for our local people to show up to stuff, but what we're trying to accomplish is to bring outside people in to raise the heads and beds or whatever.
Right. In order to do that, we have to have something for them to come to.
Right.
Exactly.
To
Right.
do.
So with that said, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I would make a motion that we have Raquel look into this further and look at what companies are available to put out RFPs, and if they come in too high, then they come in too high.
I'd like to table it till next week, till we figure out if we're gonna move forward on the TGT, so we know exactly what we're gonna be asking for.
I'm not in a position to second that, Keith, respectfully. So I agree with what you're saying, but I think there's too many things still out there, unknowns that, because I would prefer some sort of multiplex if that's the case, recreational facilities, because a lot of people want it. I still got grandkids that play ball and dance competitions that we go to out of town. But, I still need to keep in the back of our minds that there's this people here and there's people here and people here. We need to try to cover all of those, areas. I mean, it'd be nice to have pickleball. I love to play pickleball. It'd be nice to play pickleball. We need soccer fields for the little kids. We need baseball fields for the kids, softball fields for the girls. But, it'd be nice to have a recreational place like walking trails or something that's suitable for people over 60 that's there, because they're not going to necessarily want it. I mean, they're going to, we all are in that time frame, and that I'm not necessarily there right now that the hospital is my primary focus, but there's those age groups that over 65, 70, their primary focus is going to be on what kind of care am I going to get. I mean, it's primary with me too. But then, but you've also got this group of people that want things done, and they want them done now for their kids, because our city fields and stuff, and nothing against the city, but they need to be fixed. I mean, my grandkids play ball and do all that stuff. So I'm not taking your motion lightly at all, because I think we need to do something, but I would appreciate waiting until we hear from Trish as to what exactly, what those are, and then say, okay, if this is what our choices are, then how are we going to be able to come to an agreement on what's going to benefit everybody here? Because I think we've got different groups of people, and we need to do something, because it's gone on, I believe, entirely too long as well. I've been through when we first came about with this 2014, and we just have too many, and we got so many negatives that we need to get over that. We need to move forward on trying to do something for our community.
Okay, that's fine. I just thought I'd throw it out
Well, that's fine. I
just
think we're
I don't
putting the
disagree with
horse
you, Keith,
before
at
the
all.
cart.
Yeah. I'm not in the position now to second a motion to move forward with it right now.
there. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm fine, as long, I think we need to know what exactly we're gonna be asking for, and until we know about whether increasing the TGT or not.
And is
Yes,
that
sir.
are you gathering ideas then, and then?
Yeah, I've
I
asked,
wasn't sure the protocol we're gonna follow.
Well, I mean, I want everybody to bring ideas, that's why I waited 2 more weeks, as far as what could we be using the monies for.
I didn't know if you had something in the back of your mind that.
Well, I mean, I brought up, the first thing I brought up was adding another softball field, and then, if we add another softball field and Junction City's addressing down on their field, I mean, they're looking at they're improving their parks, and that's why, one of the reasons why I brought it up at this time was because we need to be working together as the community, because like you said, if we all work together,
Yeah.
including the school district, we should be able to address these issues. And, but, I just feel like now is the time to ask for the increase in the TGT. It's very minimal, but will, I think, over a long term, provide a good impact for our community. And, just because we say, oh, well, we're not a destination, we have lots of stuff here that people come here and visit us, and our community is improving, and I think now is the time for us to jump on it. I understand that the hoteliers are not in for it, but if we were raising it higher than what Manhattan and Abilene would be, I could see their concern. But $1 a night at a hotel is not a huge impact to them.
And is it just that $1 a night? Some have expressed, it's the, businesses that are going out for bid for
Sure.
people coming here, that's the biggest impact, but.
But even if they stay the 28 days, that's $28.
Well, I'm talking about conferences, people that, Geary brings his group in.
Yeah.
And they put out, because they put out for bids where they're gonna have their next conference. I think that is an argument, against it, in the sense that they feel like that is more of an impact or concern with the, that dollars. And I'm like I said, I'm neutral ground, wanting to hear
Sure.
both sides.
No, but next week I do want people to bring, I don't want it to just, I want to hear your arguments,
Yes.
or for or against it, because, but ultimately, it's the county commission that decides
Sure.
whether it increases. then I feel we get the other entities involved and, whether it be a special group, the current CVB board, included in that. I mean, I.
Well, I
do
think it would be CVB, Convention and Tourism should be a key player with that.
Yeah, but you had mentioned bringing everybody else in too.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so that's what I'm saying
Yes,
is,
yes,
do we make a special, group, once we get to that point? I mean, there's just different things that we can and can't do, but ultimately, the first thing is, we can't move forward on anything until we decide whether we're gonna do this or not. And, another option could be is using 2% towards the sports facilities and just having, CVB operate on the 4%. I mean, if you don't wanna increase it, no, we would move 2 to the sports complex or the sports facilities and having them operate on 4 without increasing it, if you're that worried about the increase.
I see.
I mean, that could be an option too, I was gonna bring up next week, but,
Okay, well, in essence, the time, because of public comment, we'll talk next week.
Okay.
So I will open the floor for public comment.
I'll show this
Now, who
map.
are you? I've never seen you.
Oh, I'm such a stranger. I'll show this to Kathy because you were gone in the hall there. So that you're aware and you can see it on this map. This is Footland and Cattle Company. This is Taylor Road. Notice that it's platted.
State your name.
Why don't you state it for me? I'm Desiree Petra, and I live in Geary County on Old Highway 40, not far from Taylor Road. I just showed you this map of this. I got this from KCC this last Friday, and it shows, I believe these to be the maps. I talked to her about the drone flying over, and I believe these to be the maps pertaining to what this drone was doing out there. And when I saw this, it just blew my mind when I saw that this was platted. Because I've never seen anything platted or heard of anything being platted out there on the footland.
When
Well-
was it platted? You said you talked to Troy? When
Yes,
was
I
it
talked to
platted?
Troy here in the hall, and he says, no,
It's not platted.
no, it's, as far as he knows, it's not platted.
Okay.
So where did this map come from? Somebody has some plans,
Where did you get it from?
KCC,
Gave that to you. Okay.
because I called when the drone was out there last weekend. I called and I asked her, I says, I'd let her know what they were up to this time to try and get this easement. They were bypassing, the letter and using a drone to fly over the property. But anyway, it's solid proof that there's plans out there and none of us know about it and we're not supposed to know about it. And KCC told me that, Kansas One Gas was a little upset with me because I hadn't contacted Dee about this. And I'm like, what's the point of contacting Dee? Because Dee asked her questions and she won't answer them. Specifically like the 3 locations where this pipeline can go, where they're,
Who's Dee?
Dee is with Kansas One Gas.
Okay.
So with all these different names and all this that is going on, and Troy looked at it and he says, yeah, there's definitely some plans here. So, and why can't we know? Why is it such a secret? It should not be a secret. And why are they staying on the east side of Taylor Road? When they were coming across our property, they were still on the east side of Taylor Road. If there's 3 separate locations, I'm guessing the one is probably replacing it where it is right now. The other one was going across through our property, through Uphams, through Munson's. They were zigzagging around, hitting everybody's property. Well, we have a water well that's in the road there for them to come across our property. And if they do, that's gonna cost them down. They're gonna have some costs there. And now it seems like with this drone, they're focusing over here across Clady's property, which is just south of Clady's and Erickson's, south of Highway 40, and then going up through Upham's property and on through Munson's. If this plat map, if there's something planned out there, if they want this gas line so bad, Why don't they run it on the other side of the road? It doesn't make sense. But utility companies have the power of eminent domain.
They do.
Yeah, and once they get an easement, they can take that property. And that's one thing that the drone operator mentioned was industrial development out there. Now, how in the world would he know that from just a survey job? Something's up. And that's what I'm asking here. You know, Troy, I asked him to contact KCC about this, but the problem is the gal in charge there, who I have been dealing with, who is very good and knowledgeable about this, she is going to be gone for 2 weeks. So I'm just asking that everybody stay in communication, because this is a direct, if our representatives and our senators at the State House are aware of what they're doing here, this is a perfect example to change the laws on what utility the rights that the utility companies have on what they can do to us. This isn't right. This isn't normal. And the other thing on that pipeline, there's 3 branches. You know, I showed you that map last week or on that. Okay, this one goes south of I-40. Well, they're gonna join it in with the other line. This is a high pressure line. It can only handle so much pressure. So you're not gonna be getting any more gas. It doesn't make sense. They're just using this going up to the other line. Actually, there's gonna be less flow.
I was told it would be 500 PSI and then it gets reduced. And you weren't here this morning, but when it gets to your house, then it's reduced clear down to 32 PSI.
Mm-hmm.
But the main transmission line
Yes.
from Abilene is 500 pounds.
Yep. Yeah, so they've got 3 lines here. If they knock out this line, are they gonna do away this line south of? It doesn't make sense to me at all, because they can't run any more gas through it.
Well, you weren't here this morning, but I said that I got contacted by somebody that worked with Kansas Gas. He's retired now. He called me over the weekend, and anyway, he gave me a name to reach out to.
Good.
That's pretty high up, and anyway, he said reach out to him. He can answer your questions. But it was a weekend and I couldn't,
Right.
he wasn't there. So I'm gonna try and get a hold of him tomorrow
Yeah,
and see whether he'll give me some more information about it. But no, the map is concerning.
there's something planned. And, you know, I understand that Foot Cattle Company is expecting a return on their investment. They paid a pretty premium for that property. But don't take it out on the rest of us. If you want to develop that property, they took the chance buying that property. So don't try and run utilities over here to try and get an interchange. And plus the city can't afford this community cannot afford the interchange at this time. You know, when Christie was talking that one time and asked them what it would cost the city, just the basics, it was over 40 million. Imagine that cost. You're just talking about a sports complex. What's more important, an interchange or a sports complex? I'd rather see you do something for the kids. It makes a lot more sense than if this community was growing, expanding, there's all this opportunity out there. Yeah, it wouldn't be such a bad idea, but it's useless right now. There's no purpose in it. And all we're doing is trying to, to me, my opinion, all we're trying to do is help out a person that paid a high price for the land. And I don't know. That's all I have to say.
If I find out some information, I'll let you know.
Yeah. And the thing is, I do have this is a perfect case to push something at the state level. And I've been talking to some representatives and a group of them that are really into this property rights issue. And so I think it's a good opportunity for the county to put their foot into it and, start talking to them and letting them know what is happening at the county level with this. Because this is a good case to show them, hey, there needs to be some revamping of our statutes here so that these utility companies don't have the power that they have, because it can't be used in this manner, I don't think.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to spout off a little bit. Go ahead, Tommy. Go ahead.
Okay, Deanna Munson of, concerning land we own in Geary County. I technically am discussing today what occurred on property owned by Michelle Munson and Serban Seaview. Since they're in California, obviously they cannot be here to do all this monitoring. So they asked me to keep an open eye on what was happening on any kind of trespassing on that land. In our opinion, the land was trespassed on in order to do a drone survey. We would have never given permission for that survey for normal walking on the land and doing it in the normal manner. And I did just look up the federal FAA Part 107 drone data processing laws that exist. And that is basically that, now I lost it. Well, basically, the person that is operating that drone to use it for surveying purposes, there's altitude issues. I'm not questioning that. But the reason I think it's a county concern is because they were doing all of it from the county road. And that is legal for them to be on the county road. But they carefully landed the drone on the county road, but they flew it totally over private property that we have posted no trespassing. I've been told that all we can do and to keep this in our favor, that this not happen, is to keep the public and to keep the county well informed on what is going on, and we can file civil suit, which we're in the process of doing. So I do want on the record that I told the county at a county commission meeting that this activity had occurred. I know that indirectly you all are probably pretty well aware of that, but I just want to be official about it. And we certainly will not give trespassing rights on that land for survey purposes for a number of reasons. One, just as simple as if that power gas line would go through there, we could never build even a cattle shed over the top of that property, over 200 feet of it. And considering it's right down the middle of our property, we certainly would not want that to be in effect, even if these other issues may not be also a part of what's going on here. So that's why I'm here today, is to just make it known. And the guy that was doing the surveying from the county road, according to the 107 section, he was illegal in that he did not have direct vision sight of the drone. He sure didn't when he was over our land, because he was south of I-70 on the road, on Taylor Road, south of I-70, and he was, the drone was out of sight for quite a period of time, of course, when it was going over that chunk of land that we bought there on Taylor Road on into the city. So anyway, that's my number one reason for wanting to be on the docket this morning. And since I'm always here with things I'm unhappy about or things I think need to be stopped, I want to also say something very positive and ask a question. In 1968, when we bought the land, the Rolfs and Chuck and I, that our homes are now on and have been ever since that time. Now, that's, of course, none of you all, but the county commissioners at that time, we attended a county commission meeting, and they assured us that Liberty Hall Road would be blacktopped before the year was over, that it was on the docket. And for 50 plus years, we've lived on a very undesirable road situation. That road is used a lot, and the amount of car damage we've had with mechanical gumming up of dirt under the car and motors getting burned out and that sort of thing over the years is just not something, we probably would have chose not to buy that land if we'd have known that it was never going to be a blacktopped road. But then
What is how far is that from
it
your house?
stops
to
at
the-
Taylor Road and then stays gravel till you get to Milford Lake.
And that, what,
And that's the piece that, of course, all of our stuff is on.
is it
Now,
over a mile? or is
Recently,
it
we
2
spent the
miles?
money to get the special treatment on the gravel to stop the dust, and it is helping. Yes, a swimming pool is a nice luxury, but I can't tell you how difficult it is to operate a filter on a swimming pool with all that dust blowing in. So although it costs us to get the gravel treated, we did it, and we'll probably do it again next year if we need to keep that dust down. But I know the signs have gone up to the count, that I guess the county put up that says do not grade. Well, now my question is, when they do not grade, what's that going to do? Now, the one thing that the county has always done very well is to keep Liberty Hall well graded and maintained. What's that going to mean as far as us is concerned on that stretch right in front of the house? And
Did
what,
Jeremy not
what does-
visit with you? Did he contact you? Jeremy?
I'm
The
sorry.
Public Works Director, did he contact you about your concerns?
Well, the sign is up saying do not grade, and I have not seen a grader go through there. I assume if they grade it, it'll destroy
What
the surface or the treatment that was put on that rock. But won't we have to grade it at some point in time to just keep it maintained?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so. Well, we can check with him.
Yeah.
Are there any other examples in the county of where the rock's been treated like that?
Yeah.
Well,
there's
so
one.
far, it's sure effective. The minute you hit that part, there's no dust
Yeah.
until you get off of it, and then it's pure white again.
There's a short stretch on Munson Road.
The what?
There is a short stretch, another area, there's a short stretch on Munson Road.
How long's it been
the,
there? Has it been there more than 1 year? Just this season?
Oh, I think this
I would like
person
to
has
know who
paid
to
for
talk
it.
to about what happens with time on that.
And I
And when
know-
we should, and when it should actually be graded again, just to keep the road in decent condition.
Well, I know their sign says no grading,
Yeah,
but what I
which
was
is
told. was-
definitely what we want right now, I know, and the road is still in very good condition. But with enough rain and snow this winter, it probably can't go indefinitely, never
no.
being graded. So, okay, all right, well, that's the positive, is that works. If there's
Good,
other
good. Well, I
people
thought
that
he
are
said he
fed.
was gonna talk to
Another
you.
one is Bud Steffens. He asked me the other day about getting it done in front of his house and who to contact. I told him what we did to get that taken care of. So there may be others in the county that'll choose to do that. It was expensive. It was expensive enough that I hope I'm sorry we have to do it every year, but I would assume we'll have to do it again next summer. But at least it's better than we're spending that much on repair of various things around there with all that dust blowing in anyway. So it's probably makes sense.
Well, we are in phase one of Safe Streets for All process, looking at all of the areas in Geary County and having an assessment done on, moving forward with possibly doing some paving of some of the gravel roads. Right now, we're concentrating around the area of the high school, but it's gonna be for the whole area of Geary County. So, and then we'll be able to see if we can put a plan in place, because yes, I do believe, when I drive on the south end of the county, they have a lot more paved roads than the
Oh,
west
yeah.
side.
Because back in 1960, we had one of our commissioners, Keith Devaney, was
Yes, I
just
heard that he's
tremendously
responsible.
strong on getting things done on the roads. So eastern Geary County is very different
Yes.
than western. The Dietrichs were on the commission at that point in time, and Edwin told Chuck that it was on the docket to be blacktopped, but I think there was a neighbor of ours that refused to give the amount of easement they needed to do it hard surface. So it didn't happen, but it's really been a nightmare for us. When we were running the agritourism business, people just didn't even want to come out there because you'd get your car so dirty driving out and back and what have you.
The same way with Hildebrands too.
Okay, well, but the positive is that whatever this is, it does
That's
control the dust,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
good,
awesome.
worth considering. I know over in Riley County, I brought Kathy, I think, a sack of what they put on their road over there out to that paint wine place where nobody in Manhattan wants to drive out there and get their cars dirty. So they've done 2 or 3 miles of it between Scenic Drive and the wine painting place. And there is no dust whatsoever on that either. It does work, so, okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
as far as what I think the county needs to know is that surveying was being done off of the county road, and he was very carefully landing it and taking it off on county property. I suppose because of this 107 rule, that they can't do surveying from the air if the landowner won't give permission. But he was definitely out of the sight of the drone when it was going over our property, because we were sitting right beside him. And once the drone went over I-70, you no longer visually could see it whatsoever. So it was being done off of the county road for a very specific purpose. Okay, well, thank you all.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Well, I just, like I'm Randy Petrum, on your sports complex, like Trish said, 30 million. What's this gonna do with our taxes? We got a full plate, you got schools to pay for. You're gonna have to do something with the jail.
These would be monies from the transient guest tax that we would be
Yeah,
using.
but that ain't gonna cover 30 million.
Well, we're not gonna be the ones doing it, but we could have an investor come in and they could use some of those transient
private?
guest money. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the
I
plan.
didn't hear
That's
that.
the plan.
Okay. And another thing on this gas line, they figured that it would be cheaper to replace the old line than it is to go out here and do what they're trying to do. Like everybody says, it don't make sense.
Well, and I think that's why the only thing I can think of, they're doing their due diligence with the survey to see what their options are.
Yep,
And that's
they
why,
ain't even
that's why they have no
well.
plan yet, because they don't know what the options are.
Okay,
I
thank you.
do know when the survey was out there and they were told to leave my property, they told the renter that the gas company was gonna have this no matter what, and they were supposed to get it done, no matter what they had to do, get it done.
My name's Christy Upham. I live out by Taylor Road in Old 40. And I just wanted to appeal, we were told that the county local officials had the authority to change the ordinance or establish an ordinance so that the drones cannot fly over private property and photograph private property or survey private property. So I would like to appeal that you guys or whoever does that, but they say county commissioners, planning and zoning would put an ordinance in place to protect private property from drone footage and photography. And also I'm here to appeal that you would support rerouting the gas line either to the original where it's at currently, or not where it's going right through our property and Munson's property. And have you been in contact with the EDC about this gas line?
I think they're behind it.
Have you?
No. I think that's
That's
all
all
I
the
have.
odds Mickey's full well behind it.
And one thing, when she mentioned that ordinance, they very village all, is one of the first ones in Kansas that created an ordinance, specifically to keep drones from flying over that area. So I don't know whether it's something to look into or not.
So you guys do have the power.
We can,
Well,
we can ask our,
There's a, according to this, I was just kind of going through there, drones are permitted in Kansas for both recreational and commercial purposes, subject to FAA regulations and local restrictions. So there can be conversations with the legislature about some of those changes if it does in fact impede on your land.
my
rights.
concern would be the easements. I mean, like you said, the utility companies have a lot of leeway when it comes to easements, which is why every single property in all these communities have those easements.
Well, I understand it in the city because you're going to have more of those easements for utilities. Whereas in the country, shouldn't the county know ahead of time? There are so
They
many.
should have told us, just so the fact that you guys, when you come in, we could at least tell you what we knew,
Right.
and we didn't know anything.
There are other states that have ordinances against drones flying over private property.
Don't you have power over that? In the county, as county commissioners, to make a, what did you call it?
Ordinance.
Well-
Cities have a lot more
Yeah.
leeway when it comes to, they have a home rule where they can make whereas the counties don't have that, so
Right.
that's something we need to look into.
Well,
And
the
again,
FAA controls that, but Gary, you had issues with drones flying. Around
Vaccine
and that's
stuff, but, yeah,
FAA.
we can put a temporary FAA restriction on, we can request that for accidents, especially if we got other helicopters coming in
Sure.
and that kind of stuff.
But that's
I think that's a
FAA
little bit
driven.
different.
Yeah.
I'm not up on the drone.
I think
stuff.
it's within 3.9 miles of the restricted area that they can't fly.
With Fort Riley.
They can't fly over any federal property.
Yeah, or 3.9 miles from the Fort Riley restricted area.
And I looked up, our house is 3.7 miles, so,
From Fort Riley?
yeah, from the airfield.
Oh,
Okay,
use that.
are we good?
thank you guys for coming in.
Yeah. And
Thank you for listening to us.
yeah, I'll
And please check into that, if you can.
I'll
just
see if I
that.
get ahold of that.
We'll have to,
Let me
Betsy's
know.
out of town this week, so.
You do what?
Betsy is out of town this week, our county counselor's out of town.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh,
No, he's going.
You think we're gonna get it this one tonight?
Another one.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to all the questions. No.
You can let them
no,
talk.
no.
What time is it?
We-
And
We could use another rain.
Yeah, I noticed there's cracks in
Oh, yeah, and the city commissioners, I'm sure, but Nikki needs.
Whether it's channel 18.
They all
We already know.
We're not put on, we've got to be able to bring to it.
Yesterday, it's
That wasn't anything. Lose all their corporate welfare, then they're
Yeah.
gone. And I don't know whether that's true.
All right,
That-
well, we got another
Don't want
executive
it out
session.
backyard, but.
This one won't let me do it.
They tried to sell me property.
And they
Get
said,
a few
You ever
more.
get old
I
and
say I saw
rare.
there's up to maybe 2 inches
and
in
then
our
that's
area.
all.
All right, thanks.
So I don't know. what
They
the-
told me the other night, everybody said they
But
only
that
had
would be interesting
78.
now,
I had
that
60.
the property tax situation,
Yeah, I told them
that's
what I
higher
had.
on them. And
My
that's why
in-law
they're gone.
lived west of Swine about 4
You know,
miles.
if that's the case, why are we,
He get that much, 3 miles
why do
down
we
the
even
road.
want, we need people to have jobs here, but
You need to look into that 3.7 miles from there.
anyway, I don't know, good luck. I'll keep you posted. I will send all this to everyone, so.
Behind this stuff, so you don't.
Oh, you know,
Find
behind
somebody
it,
to
the
talk.
city commissioners and Mickey.
So,
Period. And you'll go to the meeting and ask them, we don't
We'll
know.
see if,
anything.
Is Crystal available now?
yeah, she said she should be after.
Should we?
What's her,
I don't know.
We don't have change orders. orders, do we?
No.
Didn't see it.
Oh,
You wanna do the minutes real quick?
were you here for something else,
I
Gary?
was here in case somebody else came in to talk on public comment what you and I talked about.
Alright.
Oh,
I think we're good then, so.
on reference what?
Fireworks.
Oh,
So somebody wanted to have a display on the fifth, and I said, our ordinance says till the fourth only, and I said, if you want to change, you can come see the county commission on Monday, because they have a big family get-together. He didn't show up, so I told him the only way we could change doing it was having him come and see you guys, so.
But you do it for one, then you
I was
gotta.
gonna say, and then you have back right back to.
Okay. You wanna do the minutes real quick and then while we're waiting on Crystal?
Minutes for the 16th, there's a couple of grammatical errors that Keith and Trish both found. Showing me to change a couple of words that I didn't put in here too good. Kathy, did you have anything?
No, I don't know why, but you sent them out when, this second time?
Last Thursday?
Thursday? Yeah.
You didn't get them?
I don't recall, because I was gonna call you, because I want to look over last ones, and, last time I got something 8:30. Let me look over this other one. Yeah, I wanted to see, I was gonna ask you if I could look over just your draft, because
I
I
was gonna say, here's, show her, that's Keith's.
what day was that? What's the date on that, Teresa?
Thursday, the,
19.
yeah,
I'm sorry, I was reading that later, what were you talking
or
about?
Friday morning, I don't know.
See, I don't recall getting them. I should have asked.
Yeah, because if you don't by Friday, then definitely let me know, because I always have them done by Friday. It just,
Can you see where you sent, if you had me on there?
yeah, because I went back and looked. I always gotta make sure I send them nutrition the right way.
I got the agenda.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Keith, stop.
And I sent them out Friday at 10:05, and I sent a note that says, better stay by the pool this weekend, Trish. It's gonna be a hot one. I told Trish to stay by her pool.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you that.
What day?
I just said, when I sent them out to those two, I said, stay by their pool,
Oh,
but I couldn't
I
tell
see
you
it
that.
now. Teresa's my fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was gonna ask.
I think I'll be, I'm good, I think.
Next week at the TGT discussion, is, you don't want anybody else there, or just you three are gonna discuss it, and then I'll put it on the agenda, or did you want me
No, put it
to?
on the agenda.
Huh?
Put it on the agenda.
It's on there,
Oh, okay.
and I just have TGT discussion. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and again, I was not sure of the protocol, if we're just gonna talk about it or be ready to vote. 'cause
Oh,
I'm
that's
not-
why I made it 2 weeks out, because I wanted to
Yeah,
be
I was
ready
gonna
to
say,
go.
well, yeah, when you set it up, it was to be able to
It's like,
vote
Well,
on
in
it.
a way, I have a little issue with it, because then if we're faced with, then it all comes in and we start talking about it. um, Is there any other things to consider? I just,
I think we need to just decide whether we're gonna do this or not, and then address those other issues like you were talking about, because I do think people need to be involved, because I think if we can all work together, like, what is the plan for the football field where the old high school is? People use that track, and, if that could be a joint effort, and maybe even adding some things there, there's just so many things, I'm just gonna come with a few
there was
ideas,
a
but.
little argument with the school or whatever back when they were talking about ball fields, and then they wanted to have priority over the usage of them, but you know, again, it would seem like if you communicate and you sit down and work out at what the uses, we just need to work together.
Exactly.
And get over this stuff and move forward. There's just too many people that put up a wall and there's no moving one way or the other. And we need to get over that and I might not like it, you may not like it, Keith may not like it, all of it, but it is, at the end of the day, that's how the world goes around, and I will try to keep my mouth shut as much as possible.
So is Crystal coming?
Yeah, I just seen her, she went down there, she must have the real quick, and then we'll come back.
Oh, do I hear a motion on the minutes?
Oh,
So moved, yeah, I kind of phrased it.
second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You do a good job on the minutes, Teresa. That's why I always refer back, try to read over, because you know, when you start thinking about it, then I try to print the
She's-
draft just to go.
She's getting better.
Yeah.
She's trainable.
Yeah, oh, Lordy.
Do you want this one just?
Every now and then, every now and then I give her an A plus. I put an A plus
Yeah,
on it.
yeah,
I'm just laying all the survey stuff over here.
yeah.
Every now and then, if anybody wants to look through.
Did you invite, Raquel to your thing today? I mean, why wasn't she here for that?
She thought it was in the afternoon like normal.
No, you're, about the sports complex.
No.
Oh, why wouldn't you do that?
Well, she asked whether, and I said, no, I'm just bringing it up for
Oh, okay.
discussion. But yeah, as far as department head meeting, she apologized. She thought it was like normal.
I even put a note on the agenda. Please note the department head meeting starts 11.
I know, I saw it. And at that point, we didn't have anything after that
Mm-mm.
originally. So Betsy came up with
Yeah.
hers and I came up with that.
See, I thought Jeremy was, I thought Public Works was the one that went out, because I had him talk to Deanna to contact her, because, you know, that was concerning, just like at Hildebrand's. I mean, I buy my milk here in town because I like going out there, but shoot, you gotta, you know, your car's is filthy by the time you get done. But, you know, spraying that stuff on there, but then when they grade it, then that grade is off. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, how, you know, you can't blame her for being upset about paying, had to have to do that. And then
So
have-
Munson's paid for it and put it on the road?
Yes, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, she
Okay.
said, yeah, when she first said that, then I was like, I thought Jeremy had talked to her and they had something new that they wanted to put out there.
Oh, yeah.
And then when she
But
said they,
they
yeah,
had
then,
that, yeah.
yeah, then she put it
The
out.
only the downfall of that stuff is it's calcium. So it will eat your vehicle up.
Mhm. Yeah,
It is terrible on vehicles as far as
yeah.
it'll make the vehicles rust out faster. I mean, it's,
Because it's like what they put on ice then.
yeah,
Yeah.
calcium chloride.
Then they were talking, then on the other side of it, then they were grading Easy Jack Road and grading it too much and keep pushing all that. They, you know, put the gravel on, great, because they want it so it would keep reduce dust and stuff. And then they come and grade it all off and push all of it in the ditch. And I guess one guy had some flooding or whatever down there, and he had to go get all that gravel back out of the ditch. So I've heard a lot of stories on these
Well,
rural roads.
More about roads than you ever
I
thought
know,
of.
I did not know that.
Well, Karen Jameson, she,
Well, she was, yeah, well, rightfully so. If you have 4 foot of water in your basement, I would be upset as well.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
supposedly that was part of it, because wherever whatever they remove off of there or do whatever,
Yeah.
it get bottled up and they, of course, push the water elsewhere. She's been there since 1968 and never had a flood. so the change in whatever they were doing prompted that.
I
That
see
would've made me
Crystal
very
go back
happy.
in the office.
Yeah.
She did?
Yeah.
Maybe she's not done with her mediation.
Well, maybe not, but she should have said something when she went by.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, she was going by off the fence a couple times. I sent that off, darn it, I was trying to think, and darn it. I'll tell you, this.
You gotta wake it up.
Goes this last
sleep.
meeting that, yeah, this just had too much stuff coming from different directions, it's like, dang. Then Mandy, griping about the playing ball and stuff with the coaches, from YMCA, but, I said, well, Jason could volunteer to coach, I said, I did that until I took you off the field. I got tired of taking her and Courtney Deal off the field for fixing each other's hair out in the outfield. They'd come in, Courtney would be like, where's my ball
Well,
glove? It's like,
she's
Courtney,
tied up.
Okay, well, we have to make a decision on what we're doing, that you authorized pay.
Or,
On an employee's paycheck that went on vacation and didn't have enough vacation and you authorized it.
oh,
So we all know that. So we all know about it, so we don't need her in here, we just need to go into executive. so we can
Okay,
talk about
okay.
it.
so
So
do I hear a motion?
I make a motion, we go into executive session,
I'm assuming that I was supposed to initially.
for, non-elected personnel for 15 minutes.
Kathy,
Yes, I'll second.
been moved and seconded for executive session, non-elected personnel, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now see, why can't